All right, in this Tackle Tuesday video, I'm going to give you guys my initial thoughts of my new Big Orange rod and reel combo. This is the Catfish Pro Tournament Series rod and reel. Now, I received the reel only a couple of days after ordering it, and then the rod I received a few weeks after ordering it. It actually got stuck in Nevada for a couple of weeks. The US Postal Service is kind of slow right now. Now, I got this rod because I actually got to handle one a couple of months ago, and I really liked it because of the weight. It's a really, really lightweight rod. In fact, my scale said this rod alone is 0.85 pounds. It's less than a pound. I compared it to a Battle Cat spinning rod. That Battle Cat spinning rod was 1.04 pounds. So this rod is about 20% lighter than a Battle Cat. Now, I am going to be honest with you guys. When I first looked at the specs of this rod, I saw something really odd. They say that it has two types of glass in it and carbon graphite. And for some reason that really just kind of strikes me odd. Usually when you have multiple materials like that, you just call it composite. And I've never really heard of a rod that has two different types of glass in it and graphite. So like I said, it struck me a little bit odd. Now I get the heavy action version of this rod, and I tell you what, it is a really, really stiff rod. That includes the tip. And one good thing that I've noticed is I don't hear anything when I'm pulling down on the tip. I've had brand new rods in the past where I would hear cracking whenever I push down on the tip. Now I'm going to compare this directly to the Battle Cat. The Battle Cat has a really soft tip, and it really, some kind of voodoo magic they put into that rod to make it bend really easy, while this one is really stiff. Now, there is a debate whether or not a soft tip is good for circle hooks. There's some people that say stiff rods are better for circle hooks, and there's others that say having a very limber tip helps set circle hooks better. I want to know what you guys think. Just leave a comment below. Is a stiff rod better for circle hooks, or is a soft or limber tip better for circle hooks? This does have stainless steel eyes, and they're on there pretty good. No issues with any of these eyes on this rod. I've had issues on other rods that have inserts, or the inserts have come out. But manufacturers and some people say having an insert makes it so you can cast further. And I really don't know. I don't know if a stainless steel eyes like this would reduce your casting distance or not. I do know that this is good for braid and they last longer. Now, they did go with EVA with the handles, and it's kind of got that rip and lip style broken handle, which this could cause a problem with certain rod holders. You really don't want the rod holder on the blank. You want the rod holder on the EVA foam, which it might pose a problem. Standard rubber bottom, and they used a plastic reel seat. I forgot what this is called, but it does have a metal ring to hold it on. It does screw down from the top, and some people actually like it when it screws down from the bottom. I really don't see a difference. I don't think there's a catfish in the water in North America that could actually break any reel seat. A lot of people like going to those metal reel seats, but all it does is add to the weight of the rod and expense. And I tell you what, this rod is pretty cheap in comparison to the other rods on the market. Really, to get anything cheaper than this, you'd need to go to Walmart. And I really don't recommend any rods from Walmart. Other than an Ugly Stick Catfish special. The Ugly Stick Catfish is pretty much an unbreakable rod. And I'm sure at some Walmarts it probably costs the same as this rod. Unless you find one in the clearance section for $10 like I did a long time ago. You don't see something like that every day, so this is definitely a more value rod that's not found at Walmart currently. It does remain to be seen to see how long this rod will last and how it will handle against something like a 65-pound blue. I have not fought a 65-pound blue with this rod yet, so I couldn't tell you if it would break or if it would handle it just fine. I have a feeling that it would handle it just fine. Only time will tell. Now, the coloration is pretty good as well. I really like white rods. White rods show up really well at nighttime, but during the day it can be hard to see them, especially on video. Now, a black rod would show up really good in the daytime, but at nighttime it's really hard to see them. You guys definitely know that when you see me fishing for channel catfish. It's really hard to see my rods. Now, an orange rod is kind of in the middle. Orange shows up better than white in the daytime, and it shows up better than black at nighttime. It's kind of a middle of the road color. And what they've done, they've added a white tip to it, and this tip actually glows in the dark. So if you put a lot of light on it and then turn off your lights, you can still see the tip for if you get a bite from a catfish. And it hopefully will show up better on the camera when I finally take this to the lake to try to catch a big catfish with it, or small catfish. I'm happy with any catfish at this point. Now this rod is 7.5 feet, which is the same length of all my battle cats that I have right now. And I think the handle is just about the same, maybe just a tad bit shorter than the battle cats. And this has a hook holder on the line side. Some people don't like that. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the reel. Now there's one thing that I noticed on both the rod and reel. There is no sticker of where it was manufactured. I don't know if this was made in Korea or in China or even in North America. Now at the price point of this rod and reel, there's no way this could have been made in North America. The cheapest reel made in North America is about $200. And this reel is priced around the price of a Catmax. In fact, the size of this reel, line capacity, is about the same as a Catmax, maybe just a little bit more. It has more bearings than the Catmax. It does have a nice paddle handle, although I'd rather have a power handle instead of a paddle handle. And it comes with a dual spool tensioner. From what I'm told, this is not a brake, it's actually a spool tensioner. But if you take this apart, there is a small braking system inside of it that you can take pins off of. It has a pretty loud clicker on it too. Now, just because this is made overseas does not make it a bad reel. Catfish Pro may not tell you where these reels come from, but at least they're not doing something like what Ancient Mariner did a few years back and say that this is made in America, when in reality this is probably a Chinese reel that came from the same building that the Ancient Mariner and the Ming Yang comes from. There's only a couple of manufacturers in China that actually make reels like this. And some people actually love their Ancient Mariner reels. They're a good reel, even if the guy behind them is just a little bit shady. The guy behind this rod and reel, he's a veteran, so I would trust him more than a guy who claimed his Chinese-made reels were American. And I'll say this again, even if it is made in China, it doesn't make it a bad reel. I know I'm just repeating myself over and over again. It's pretty solid. I mean, there's no play in it at all. And it reels fine. Another thing I like about this is when you disengage it, the level wind, it moves with the spool. That will keep the line equal on your spool. It's a really good feature. It also has auto disengage. That is some top end features on a cheap reel. The only good reels I know about that may be cheaper than this one are the Akuma Classic. This has more bearings than the Akuma Classic Pro, and the regular Akuma Classic has bushings in it. No bearings at all. I know the normal Akuma Classics can last 4 or 5 years catching multiple big fish. I know a couple of guides that have had them for years, and that's a really cheap reel with plastic parts in it. This one looks like it has a bunch of metal parts in it. I should take it apart and look at the inside to see if there's any plastic, but more than likely, with a reel like this, there's probably not much plastic in it at all, which means it may actually last longer. Now there's my initial thoughts of the Catfish Pro Tournament Series rod and reel. I do think this was worth the purchase, and I can't wait to get this out on the water, see if I can catch a big catfish with it. And I definitely want to know your guys' thoughts, so tell me what you think about the Catfish Pro Tournament Series rod and reel in the comments below, obviously. I will put an Amazon associate link for this in my description below. It's rare to find a rod and reel like this at the original price on Amazon, so it might be worth buying through Amazon if you have their Prime service. And as a disclaimer, if you buy anything through the link, I might actually get a commission. As always, I want to thank you guys for taking your time out of your day to watch my video. I really appreciate it. And if you like me doing these Tackle Tuesday videos, hit that thumbs up. And if you don't like me doing these Tackle Tuesday videos, hit the thumbs down. I use that as a metric to see if I want to continue doing these style of videos. Thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you next time.